Well, I welcome you to sunny Suffolk, and I'm the farm manager of the legend that is Jimmy's Farm. Now, on the farm here, I have to make sure I make all the right decisions, and I've installed a Ritchie livestock system. Brilliant equipment, flawless quality, but what's most important to myself is its usability, even with my apprentices and even novices that come for experience days. It's unbelievably strong, it's durable, and I've seen things happen to equipment that no one would like to admit, and the Ritchie kit absolutely stands the test of time. Most importantly for myself as a farm manager, it's about making the correct investment. I need peace of mind, and with Ritchie's equipment that is certainly what I get. And I can vouch for that because even on my grandfather's farm when I grew up as a kid, I remember using Ritchie equipment. It's still there to this day, and I think it's going to outlive me. When I first approached Ritchie with the brief, I threw him a real curve ball. I thought I was crazy asking for such a request. But what I needed on the farm, bearing in mind space is a premium, I needed a compact system that would take care of cattle and pigs and sheep. I hadn't heard of a system anywhere that would actually integrate all three species into one handling system. And when I say I threw a curved ball, Ritchie caught it. It's quite a challenge when you think things through. A system has to be developed to take sheep through a race, but it's got to be man enough and robust enough to take fat pigs that, let's face it, they're bullies and they're just nothing but bruisers. So they completely engineered a new system. They had to bespoke make panels, hurdles, they had to upgrade the holding brackets, and they had to beef up the thickness of the pins. They know that they've actually got to thicken up the amount of weld. Because on our farm we've got a lot of pigs, part of the brief was the system had to handle pigs. I'm sure you will all well know, pigs have a habit of getting their snouts underneath gates and flipping them up off the hinges. So what Ritchies have done, they've actually adjusted the heights of the gates so they're only 3 to 4 inches off of ground level, which minimises any risk of the pigs causing damage to themselves. And I think that attention to detail is what makes them clearly market leaders. I just want to bring your attention to how well finished the product actually is. Literally, there are no sharp edges anywhere. All the steel has been welded in. A baby wouldn't even be able to graze their hands on this stuff. All the steel has been wrapped and bent round, which really takes the risk out of what can be an incredibly risky job. Their gates, it's a much thicker, heavier gauge box steel. And to balance with that, there is actually a tube of steel welded within the hinge bracket itself. That minimises any possible opportunity for the gates to bend and buckle, which goes back to a comment I made earlier. They stand the test of time. Another major factor to consider, the sheep and the pig part of the system. Yet again, continuity, brilliant welding, no sharp edges, even on the weld mesh. The finish is fantastic. There's no sharp edges there at all for all the sheep to catch their fleeces on, so they're brilliant even for absolute top quality prime show stock. Keeps all the fleeces in perfect condition. And pigs, you know, being bare skinned, naked skinned creatures, it's just as important as well. Now it's all very well having clever technology, understanding the psychology of livestock, beefing up gates, lots of heavy welding. But for the products to stand the test of time, you need galvanising that also meets that high level of standards. And Ritchie have invested in their galvanising facility, and they have a unique edge. Their process of galvanising means it's thicker, it's stronger, and it certainly lasts longer than anything else. And I think that high level of workmanship and high ethics and impeccable morals, I think is why Ritchies have been going for 140 years. They've stood the test of time, and you won't do that with substandard equipment. You don't need to take my word for it, you can ask any of their customers. Something that particularly attracted me to the Ritchie crushes, they're very versatile. There's panels that are open and close. You can literally tailor the crush to the job you're doing. All 4 panels on this crush open. You can have 360-degree access to the livestock. It's like being a magician. Perfect access. So for close examining and detail. If you're a beef farmer and you like to clip out the top of your livestock before they go to the market, it's perfect. For the dairy farmer, there's always foot problems. For vets to be able to do TB testing, keeps nice open access so it's safe and approachable. And the list just keeps going on. From one position on the crush, I can slide open the access gate and the cattle can just walk through by themselves. Nice and calm, no noises, no crashing and banging. Another safety factor taken into consideration, from the side, well out of the way of any horns. Just automatically release them back out into the pen. The front of the actual crush itself, it's a fully automatic closing crush, and it's also automatic, so when you actually release the mechanism, the animal can then just push their way through it. So as the animal comes through the crush, automatically locks. Something that I really like about the crush, it's got adjustable yokes on the front. Use a tighter hole, it's perfect for younger livestock, even dairy cattle, thinner frame, or you can open it right up for big old bullocks and bulls. What I really find intriguing with the Ritchie system is there's all the couplings and bolt holes, locking mechanisms already in place on the crush. So think of it as your business grows, so can the handling system. There's also several different optional extras that you can actually add to the equipment as and when you feel it's necessary. Being a farm manager, I have to make sure that the safety of my staff and visitors is just absolutely paramount. The cattle are kept in complete safe condition, and with the actual psychology of cattle and livestock that's involved, Ritchie have taken everything into consideration. So the closed panels, openings, daylight going straight the way through the crush. It makes working with the livestock a pleasant experience. More importantly, it reduces the stress to the livestock. They always design a system built around keeping the livestock relaxed and calm right the way through the process. And I think that is incredibly important. If you can reduce the amount of stress, it will reduce the amount of accidents, reduces the level of risk. Which also means if you're a farm that's relying on younger members of staff, apprentices or work experience, it makes it a much safer operation and gives you peace of mind. And really importantly, from a consumer's perspective, it gives them peace of mind if they know that your livestock is being cared and attended and looked after in such a safe manner, what is normally perceived as being quite a stressful situation. It's quite a challenge when you think things through. A system has to be developed to take sheep through a race, but it's got to be man enough and robust enough to take fat pigs that, let's face it, they're bullies and they're just nothing but bruisers. So they completely engineered a new system. They had to bespoke make panels, hurdles. They had to upgrade the holding brackets, and they had to beef up the thickness of the pins. They know that they've actually got to thicken up the amount of weld. There's no sharp edges there at all for all the sheep to catch their fleeces on, so they're brilliant even for absolute top quality prime show stock. Keeps all the fleeces in perfect condition. And pigs, you know, being bare skinned, naked skinned creatures, it's just as important as well. And pigs bruise easily. A strong point to Ritchie's repertoire is one-man operation of systems. Now, the sheep race here, for example, it's nice and simple. I can open the back of the actual crate, the sheep will go in, I can close it behind them, which is a unique thing because instead of a gate that swings on hinges where you're fighting with the sheep, it drops down from above. And from exactly the same position, I can just stay where I am and let the animal leave. At the end of the race, nice, easy, stress-free operation. I can shed the sheep off and split the ewes from the lambs. It's nice and easy and safe.
Me and my wife have been farming here now for about 20 years. We're farming on the hedge of Exmoor. We're running a flock of just over 1,000 sheep and mainly mule Suffolks. We have a friend down South Moulton. He said to me, he said, I've bought a comely clamp and it was the best thing you've ever bought on the farm. He said anybody who got one should get one if they're keeping sheep, because like he said, if you don't mind going spending £3,000–4,000 on a turner, hay turner to make hay, and you might only use that one once a week in a year. This one here, you'd use putting her all the time you're about sheep, which could be half the year easy, you know, 6 months of the year. Did get sciatica in my back, and for like dagging sheep, we used to, you know, hold them up against the wall, or, you know, and put your leg up against something. You got to bend over to dag a sheep and that. And this one here was, well, I've done them all in there, just over 1,000 sheep in the spring, and never affected me back at all. Me and my wife, when I was in our 20s, if a sheep run into your leg, next day you didn't feel it, but now as it's getting older, you feel it for the next week when the sheep have hit you in the leg. But got one of these here, anybody could have one of these. If you was in your 70s, you could have one of these. The sheep runs up through here and you stand on that one there, and that clamps the sheep in there. Once the sheep goes in here, it can't move, and it's so easy to use. But the easiest way is to give you a demonstration, that's the best way, isn't it? But you got to take off one spring this side, and take off one spring this side, and you got to slide a bar out next to that, and move the tray back. And you've got to put the springs back on. You've got adjustment on your chain here to make things soft or hard, whichever you want to do. And then you've got a wider gap for bigger sheep. It's so animal friendly because the sheep's in there and it can't move, it can't kick about, it can't twist, it can't hurt itself in there because it's in there and it's clamped in there. And it don't hurt the sheep because it's all made of a nice soft material. Time usage, you know, it's a lot easier. I can dag 100, 120, 30 sheep an hour through this one here, where when we was dagging them out in the yard in a pen, you was lucky if you could do 50, 60. So it's making us money all the way around because we can put the sheep through so fast. Just for peace of mind as an employee, health and safety, we got a chap that helps us on the farm. You know, there's a lot off your mind that they ain't going to get damaged by the sheep and they're going to claim off you or anything, because they can't really hurt themselves when they're doing sheep in the comedy clamp. Be honest, we bought a turnover crate before us bought this one, and we haven't used the turnover crate since we bought this one. We do all the feet and that, everything in this one now. You know, so easy to use, you know, anybody could use it. I was recommended this, and I would definitely recommend it on to other people. You know, it's a marvellous bit of equipment.
I personally think they're an exquisite manufacturer with their products. There's two things that are seriously important for myself as a farm manager. The first one is unbelievable build quality. The second thing is it lasts. And I truly believe as a farm manager, you only get what you pay for. I'm not into false economics. I wouldn't want to be turning back the clock and making regrets over a poor investment. And with Ritchie equipment, there's no such thing as a poor investment.